You're probably really excited to get going, aren't you? I hope so. Me too. But the audience, probably not quite as excited as you are. The fact that you're on the radio isn't nearly as big a deal to them. Sorry, but it's true. See, your relationship with the audience goes through stages, and your performance has to adjust to each stage. It's like dating. I call it romancing the audience. Now, the natural tendency for most personalities is to try and do too much too soon. They get their show and they start thinking they should be doing long segments like The Burt Show or Elvis Duran. Then they wonder why they can't get traction with listeners. If you're new to an audience, you can't act like Howard Stern as if you've been there forever. It's not natural. It's not what they expect from you. Here are the 5 stages that every personality must pass through. The first stage is introduction. The audience has just met you and they haven't figured you out yet. They're not sure they're even interested in spending time with you. You've been introduced, but they don't know much about you yet. In this phase, you're just trying to make a good first impression. It's important that you know what they like and what they don't. Then present yourself to be more likable on the things that they do. The goal is to just get them to spend time with you. That'll give you a chance to get them interested. Now, this is the wrong time to come on too strong. You know the saying about only having one chance to make a first impression? It's true. So don't come on too strong and make that first impression a negative one. That's hard to recover from. The second stage is familiarity. As the audience spends more time with you, they become more familiar with the things that you do. This is where a lot of talent gets sidetracked. You want to rush in with your own content and do your thing. But until that relationship starts to grow, just show that you're a good match for them by showing that you like the things that they love. It's easy to do this just by showing that you're a fan of the station's brand. Now, that could be the music or the sports or information or just about anything. But you're not talking just about the music and artists. You're showing your character through those things. We get into that a lot more when we get to the performance module. In familiarity, you're working to become the ultimate host of a party, to make sure that your guests have a great time by being great at what you do. That's how they get to know you. And while they enjoy what you do, they're starting to get to know who you are. Phase 3 is growth. This is where it starts to get fun. The audience is spending more and more time with you, and as they do, they find ways to be with you more often. They're setting appointments to tune in while you're on. They like the station better when you're on it. In this stage, they're still coming to you because of the things that you do, but they start loving the way you do those things. They're forming habits. They start to recognize you, and it's common to hear comments like, "I really like this personality because they do this thing or that thing." The audience is starting to pick up on things about your character at the same time, and that's key. So the goal in growth is to make emotional connections by exposing more character traits through the content you're already creating. The like phase usually starts quickly after you start experiencing growth. The more time listeners spend with you, the more you become an important part of their life. And they recognize that it's no longer just what you do. They're starting to recognize and like who you are. If you say something amusing, they think it's really funny because they like you. Now, like is the first step toward falling in love with you. As you grow into the like phase, your choice of content isn't nearly as critical as how you perform that content. And finally, falling in love. Once you reach this phase, it's not at all about what you do. It's now all about who you are. It's your character and your heart, your personality. It transcends the things that you do. They've fallen in love and they can't wait to tell others about you. You're the primary attraction. They'll listen no matter what station you're on. In this phase, their day isn't right until you're a part of it. They've become fans. Those are the 5 stages: introduction, familiarity, growth, like, and love. I'm going to get you through the first 2 phases as quickly as possible. You can't rush it, but you can accelerate it. Then in the growth stage, we're going to make it as big as possible. Growth transitions into like and then love. Those are the stages you want to be in. Now, your stage has nothing to do with how long you've had an audience. I work with a personality in a small city in the U.S. He's been on the air for about 20 years, almost all of it on the same station. His name is familiar around town. Ask anybody about him and they've probably heard of him. But ask if they listen and they can't remember what station he's on. Ask what he does on the air and they can't think of anything. Ask if they like him and they say, "Yeah, he's okay, I guess." After 20 years in the same place, he's still in stage 1 or stage 2. Probably stage 2, familiarity. Man, that's sad. And I don't want that to happen to you. Then there's other times. The personality may be brand new, on for just a year or two, but already making a big impact. Those who know about them love them, and they can tell you why. Some go from introduction to love very quickly. Others never get there. So what stage are you in? Introduction, familiarity, growth, like, love? How can you figure out where you stand? You really need to know this stuff because everything you do changes based on the stage that you're in. In the next lesson, I'll show you how to identify your stage so you can advance on your success path.